Students who used to ignore her now looked up when she walked in. Some gave her a nod. Others just stepped aside. The whispers were gone. The laughter stopped. No one mocked her. No one touched her. Even the teachers seemed to regard her differently. Curious, cautious, maybe even a little bit in awe. Ava didn't say much. She didn't need to, because she had spoken the only language the world seems to understand. Strength, delivered not in screams or threats, but through clarity, courage, and control. She hadn't lashed out. She defended her boundaries. She protected herself without going beyond what was necessary. And in doing so, she shattered the image everyone had built around her. Ava Williams was no longer the invisible girl in the hoodie. She was a lesson, a warning, a quiet storm with a name. And from that day forward, Ava wasn't invisible anymore. She was unforgettable. She warned them. Respect people's boundaries. Self-defense isn't aggression. It's survival. That girl is a queen. Don't mess with the quiet ones. This is what happens when you push someone too far. I don't know her, but I'm proud of her. TikTok edits, reaction videos, dramatic reenactments, it was all there. Ava's story had tapped into something deeper. The silent fury of kids everywhere who'd been picked on, ignored, underestimated. She became a symbol, not of violence, but of dignity, of power restrained, of what it means to finally say enough. As for Kyle, Liam, and Derek, they were suspended indefinitely. The school had no choice. The footage, witness accounts, and growing public scrutiny made it clear. The boys had a pattern of harassment that had finally caught up with them. Parents called in. Meetings were held. Statements were drafted. But the damage was done. Their reputations weren't just ruined. They were obliterated. And Ava? She didn't gloat. She didn't post. She didn't brag. The next day, she returned to class as if nothing had happened. Same hoodie. Same seat in the back. Same open book. But something had changed. The energy in the room. The video showed everything. From the moment Kyle approached Ava's desk to the second she flipped Liam over her shoulder. There was in full clarity the mockery, the physical contact the moment Kyle grabbed her throat. And the exact second she warned him. Don't touch me. Legally, there was no question. She had defended herself with restraint and precision. She stopped the moment the threat was neutralized. Morally, the internet had already chosen sides. Within an hour, clips from the classroom had gone viral. Hashtag Ava Williams was trending on every platform. Comments poured in. She told them not to touch her. That girl is a hero. This is why you don't mess with quiet people. Some called her a warrior. Others called her a legend. But Ava didn't want fame. She just wanted peace. And now, finally, she had earned it. By the next day, Ava's story had gone viral. Someone, no one knew exactly who, had uploaded the video online overnight. The faces were blurred, but the moment was unmistakable. The quiet girl standing up, defending herself, and taking down 3 known bullies with calm, flawless precision. The title? Quiet Girl Snaps After Bullies Cross the Line. Within hours, it hit 1 million views. By lunchtime, it was on national trending pages. By evening, it was everywhere. The internet exploded with reactions. Comment sections filled faster than moderators could keep up. Ava didn't resist. She didn't speak. She calmly stepped back from Derek, released her grip, and raised her hands. Not in surrender, but in silence. The officers guided Kyle, Liam, and Derek to the nurse's office. Kyle whimpered with every step. Liam still couldn't stand upright, and Derek cradled his wrist like it was shattered glass. No one looked at Ava, not even the students, except their phones. They were all still recording. Ava was asked to step outside. A teacher escorted her down the hallway toward the principal's office. But she didn't cry. She didn't tremble. She didn't apologize. She sat in the principal's office, hands folded, eyes steady. Principal Reynolds, a stern man with graying hair and deep lines across his forehead, leaned forward behind his desk. Ava, can you tell me what happened? For the first time that day, she spoke. I warned them, she said calmly. I told them not to touch me. That was the moment the mask came off. Ava wasn't just some quiet girl hiding behind books and earbuds. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't helpless. She was trained. The truth spilled out like a slow unraveling. Her father, she explained, had been a retired military self-defense instructor, an expert in personal protection and tactical response. From the time she was 7 years old, Ava had trained with him every morning before school. Judo, Krav Maga, tactical disarms, mental discipline, physical control. Her mother, after her father passed, had continued the training, not to make Ava a fighter, but to ensure that no one would ever make her a victim. "I don't want to hurt anyone," Ava said softly, eyes still clear. "But I will protect myself." Principal Reynolds blinked, clearly stunned. He glanced toward the assistant principal, then back at Ava. "You're saying this was self-defense?" A knock came at the door. One of the IT staff entered, holding a flash drive. "We pulled the security footage from room 207, he said. "You're going to want to see this." All the students who had watched and recorded, frozen in disbelief, had dropped their phones to their laps. Even those who had cheered the bullying days before now looked pale, mouths hanging open. Derek was the last. He backed up slowly, phone still in his hand, his expression shifting from smug to terrified. Whoa, chill," he stammered, raising his free hand in surrender. I was just filming. I didn't touch you." "Too late." Ava turned to him, eyes sharp as glass. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. She stepped forward. Derek flinched, tried to retreat, but stumbled over a chair leg. Ava closed the distance in seconds. She grabbed his wrist before he could run. One sharp movement, and snap, she bent it backward in a controlled but brutal hold. Derek yelped and collapsed to the floor, gasping. All three boys were down. Kyle clutched his arm and sobbed. Liam wheezed, unable to catch his breath. Derek cradled his twisted wrist, eyes wide in disbelief. And Ava? She stood over them, breathing steady, calm, like this was just another Thursday. Then, right on cue, the classroom door burst open. The substitute teacher, having heard the screams, finally returned, just in time to witness the scene. 3 of the school's toughest bullies writhing on the ground, and one quiet girl standing above them, hoodie still on, eyes still cold. For the first time all year, every single person in that classroom saw Ava Williams, and no one would ever forget her again. Security arrived within minutes. The sound of running footsteps echoed down the hall just moments after the chaos settled. 2 security officers burst into the classroom, eyes scanning the scene. 3 boys on the floor, groaning and clutching limbs, and 1 girl standing in complete control. Gone was the quiet girl who blended into the background. In her place was someone else entirely. Someone dangerous, calm, controlled, ready. And Kyle? He had no idea what he had just awakened. No one could have predicted what happened next. One moment, Ava was the silent girl in the back of the room. The next, she was a storm, calm, precise, unstoppable. Kyle didn't even have time to blink. With almost surgical precision, Ava reached up and grabbed his wrist, the one still hovering near her throat. Her fingers tightened like a vice. In a single, fluid motion, she twisted. Crack! The sound echoed like a gunshot through the silent classroom. Kyle let out a raw, shocked scream and dropped to his knees, clutching his arm. His face contorted in pain, all traces of cocky bravado gone. His mouth opened in shock, but no words came out. Just whimpers. Gasps filled the air. But Ava wasn't finished. Liam, wide-eyed, made the mistake of stepping forward. Maybe he thought he could stop her. Maybe he didn't think she'd touch him. Either way, he lunged, arms swinging wildly. Big mistake. Ava ducked effortlessly under his clumsy swing. Then she moved like lightning, grabbing his arm mid-motion, twisting her body, and using his own weight against him. Her stance was perfect, controlled. She stepped into the throw and sent him flying over her shoulder. Liam hit the ground with a heavy thud, landing flat on his back. The wind rushed out of his lungs in one brutal breath. His eyes fluttered, stunned. He didn't even try to get up. The room was dead silent. No one laughed. No one moved. Kyle had spotted her the moment he walked in. He swaggered through the doorway like he owned the room, Liam and Derek close behind, the usual trio of arrogance and cruelty. Kyle's smirk widened when he saw Ava. He didn't need a reason. She was the reason. He sauntered over and leaned across her desk, his face inches from hers. "Still think you're too good to talk to anyone, freak?" Ava didn't answer. She didn't look up. Her eyes stayed fixed on the page in front of her, though she hadn't read a word since he walked in. Liam swooped in from the side and grabbed her notebook. "Oh, what do we have here?" he said, flipping through the pages with exaggerated flair. "Poetry? Secrets? Oh wait, just boring notes." Yawn. Derek, phone already recording, gave a chuckle as he tapped Ava's pen off the edge of her desk. It clattered to the floor. "Say something," Kyle whispered, voice low and mocking. "Or are you just a little mouse?" Still, Ava didn't move. Not a twitch. Some of the class had started watching now, half amused, half uncomfortable. No teacher in the room, just 30 kids and 3 bullies circling their favorite target. Then Kyle reached out and did something that made the entire room freeze. He grabbed her by the throat. It wasn't hard, not yet. It was meant to be a joke, a mock display of dominance. His hand hovered lightly over her neck, fingers resting just enough to make a statement. But it was enough. Gasps broke the air like glass shattering. A few students stood up in shock. Several phones were raised, recording. Nervous laughter rippled through the room, uncertain and uneasy. Ava slowly closed her book. She didn't look afraid. She didn't even look angry. She just looked done. Then she stood. Her chair scraped against the tile floor with a screech that made everyone wince. The sound was sharp, final, like the beginning of something no one could stop. And when she looked up, really looked at Kyle, something in her eyes had shifted. What they didn't know was that Ava's father had been a military instructor, and after he passed away when she was 13, her mother, a retired martial arts champion, took over her training. Not for fun, for survival. Every day after school, Ava practiced discipline, strength, and focus. She wasn't just some quiet girl reading in the back of the room. She was a storm wrapped in silence. But she had promised her mom she wouldn't fight unless she had no other choice. So she stayed quiet until the day they went too far. It was a Tuesday during third period. The substitute teacher had stepped out for just a few minutes. Kyle saw his chance. He walked up behind Ava and yanked one of her earbuds out. "Hey, freak," he sneered. "You deaf or just stupid?" Liam and Derek laughed. A few students turned around but said nothing. This was routine. Ava didn't flinch. Kyle leaned in too close. "Say something. Come on. Say." And that's when she did. "Don't touch me." Her voice was sharp, controlled, loud enough to echo through the classroom. Kyle stepped back, caught off guard. Oh, now she talks. But Ava was already on her feet. What happened next would be replayed on every student's phone by the end of the day. Because quiet Ava snapped, and no one saw it coming. It started like any other Thursday. The morning sun spilled lazily through the tall windows of room 207. Students filed in, chatting, tossing backpacks onto desks, joking about the upcoming math quiz or weekend plans. It was the kind of normal, half-bored energy that filled every morning before a substitute teacher walked in and ruined the chaos with rules. Ava Williams sat in her usual corner, third row from the back, far left. Hood up, book open, head down. To most, she was invisible, a shadow in the room. She didn't laugh. She didn't gossip. She didn't make eye contact. But she was always there, always quiet. Until today. Don't touch me. That's what no one expected to hear from Ava Williams, the girl who barely spoke. It happened so fast that no one could believe it at first. The quiet girl who sat alone during lunch, the girl who never raised her hand in class, the one who teachers often forgot to take attendance for, had just shouted across the classroom loud enough to silence everyone. But before we get to that moment, let's rewind. Ava had always kept to herself. She was the kind of student who sat in the back of the class, hood up, books open, and earbuds in. Quiet, invisible, easy to ignore. She never caused trouble, never asked for help, never made a scene. Most students didn't know much about her. She transferred sophomore year, and from the very first week, it was clear she wasn't looking to make friends. Some thought she was just shy. Others whispered about her being weird or off. But Ava didn't seem to care. She just kept her head down and stayed out of everyone's way. Except the bullies didn't ignore her. Kyle, Liam, and Derek, the self-declared kings of the school, had made Ava their favorite target. Kyle was the ringleader, always laughing the loudest, throwing the first insult. Liam followed, tossing crumpled paper at the back of Ava's head or tripping her in the hallway. Derek filmed it. He always filmed it. Why Ava? Because she was small. She didn't have many friends. She never said a word in her own defense. To them, she was easy. But they had no idea what she was hiding. Ava had lived through worse than high school bullies. Much worse. They thought she was weak, just a quiet girl in the back of the class. But when 3 bullies pushed her too far, grabbed her, mocked her, humiliated her, she didn't scream. She didn't cry. She stood up, and in seconds, they were on the ground, begging for mercy. This is the story of Ava Williams, the silent girl who became unstoppable.